Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of All About the W. My name is Kai. Ash is here with me. Ash, how were the midweek FA Cup games?
I mean, if you're anybody but a Spurs fan, they were great. But now Spurs have been knocked out of two cups, and
Hmm.
great. How much fun? What fun? Great.
Yes,
Let's
exciting
do
times.
FA Cup recap.
Yeah, so we are here to do like a quick recap of the FA Cup fixtures that were postponed, the round of 32 fixtures. But before we dive into that, a couple of quick reminders. One is that Ash and I will definitely be going live for that big fixture on Sunday, that is Manchester City versus Arsenal. I think it's going to be an important fixture because after the last weekend, Arsenal have now slipped to the fourth spot in the table, and City are in third. So I think it's a fixture that's definitely going to have some serious Champions League spot implications. So it'll be a fun one, and always fun to watch two high quality teams compete with each other, right? And the second thing is Ash and I are going to come out with like a transfer video probably in the next couple of days. So keep your eyes peeled for that as well. Hopefully we can talk about some of the big transfers that have happened, not just in terms of the money, but also in terms of the kind of impact it has on a team and on a squad. So we'll do that. But Ash, for this episode, just take it away.
Yeah. So we're starting with the very exciting Arsenal versus Bristol City game in which Arsenal demolished Bristol City as is expected, 5-0. Blackstenius scored in the third minute and the 16th minute. Marnham scored in the 8th minute. Mead scored in the 25th minute and the 54th minute. Now, this was kind of an expected result, but Arsenal's just been racking away. Apart from the Chelsea game, Arsenal's been just like racking away at the goals. What did you think about this game?
I honestly had like a little more expectation from this game because Bristol City is a side that got relegated last season, so they have played in the WSL, and I don't think that their team looks like remarkably different than it did in the last season. So I maybe expected like a better showing from Bristol City. In the last season, like one of the things that I actually liked about them is that they conceded a lot of goals, but they were also like quite threatening going forward.
Yeah.
Um, so it was a bit weird to see them bend back in their box and Arsenal just like yeah, it was this match was just all Arsenal. There's no doubt about it, and I think Bristol City had like one shot on target. But I
Right.
think the more exciting thing, probably for Arsenal fans, apart from the fact that they've progressed in the FA Cup further, is probably like some of the personnel things that they might want to take a note of, which is Leah Walty was subbed on during the game, which means she's getting a fitness back slowly. She was on the bench in the game against Chelsea, but I don't think Slagers thought that was the intensity of that game was too high. I don't think a person who's coming back from injury should probably come into a game like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Amanda Illisted is also back, which is big news for Arsenal fans because she is centre back that they've missed for a while. Obviously, she was pregnant. She's just had a baby. She brought her baby out to the pitch. It was all very cute. So
Yeah.
it's always lovely to see, somebody coming back from after giving birth, right? Like we know, like in the women's game, that's like the added uh, bit of physical work that needs to be done to get people back into fitness. So it's really
Mm,
cool. And Illicit has spoken a little bit about how supportive Arsenal have been. So
yeah.
that's props to the club for getting her back as soon as they have. Apart from that, Rosa Kafaji got a start, and so did Katie Reed. Kafaji, I don't think had like a whole lot to do. I think a lot of their attack was going through the right hand side. So, but I think with the amount of whatever she had to do, I think she did it reasonably okay. Katie Reed also looked pretty solid at the back. So yeah, I mean overall an expected result in terms of Arsenal progressing, but a little disappointed with the overall match, I would say. But Arsenal fans should be absolutely pleased. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't expect a lot from Bristol City because I actually saw the game against Brighton in the League Cup, and they'd lost like some 6-2, and Brighton were just like totally demolishing them. I know Brighton conceded 2 goals, but that's because they're Brighton.
Yeah.
So I expected that Arsenal would get a high score against them because they looked so open as a team. But I do think that like the Chelsea game, in that sense, the result was unfortunate because I do think Arsenal are playing really good football. I think that like even with all the rotation, they've just been amazing. Like the biggest problem under Jonas was that they to these smaller teams they constantly like couldn't score, and now it's
Yeah.
just 4 goals, 5 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals. So I think that it's commendable, and whatever Renee Slegers is doing, I hope that she
Yeah.
continues to do it. And I think that they deserve, in fact, to take that third spot from City. I
Hmm.
think that City this season have been lackluster without Hemp and Bunny Shaw, and I think that
Yeah.
apart from that Barcelona game, I think that City haven't really performed to the best of their ability in any other game in this season. So I truly think that they don't deserve the third spot.
Yeah. Wow. This is quite something from a Spurs fan. But no, I get where you're coming from. I think, honestly, like to what you're saying, Ash, I think this coming weekend is going to be like, somewhat of a judgment day, right? Like for these two teams. I think it's an opportunity to see how they actually match up. And with Arsenal, I think what went wrong for them in some ways is that when they are under pressure they tend to be not too clinical, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They missed a whole lot of chances, and as did Chelsea, right? But whatever, Chelsea got the penalty, Chelsea's good. But at the same time, in matches against, say, high quality teams like Chelsea or Man City, you have to take your chances. Like you just have to
Yeah.
put away one or two goals. There's just no way around it. So I think the match on Sunday is going to be super super exciting, the WSL one. But let's stick to the FA Cup. Ash, you watched the chaotic West Ham versus Liverpool game, which finished 5-0 to Liverpool. An old goal from Says, Ilian Kiernan scoring in the 18th minute, Grace Fisk in the 48th minute, Lucy Parry in the 66th, and Samkerr, Scottish Samkerr, scoring in the 70th minute. Ash, what did you make of this game?
You know, this game was really frustrating because it's like there was utter dominance from Liverpool, especially in terms of scoreline, but also in terms of the entire second half. But it was it was annoying because that red card I felt was undeserved. I thought it was a yellow.
Hmm.
And then the whole discussion becomes, instead of it becoming about how amazing it is that Liverpool beat a WSL team, by 5 goals, the whole conversation becomes about was it a red card or not. I mean, to be fair, Liverpool, were winning already. By the time Tizia got the red card in the 38th
Yeah.
minute, Liverpool were already 2 goals up. But it's just that the way that they were scoring the scored the 2 goals felt like West Ham still had a chance, like still had something in it in the game, because like the first goal, I thought that both teams kind of started the game equally well. But like Liverpool got that corner, and I have to commend Liverpool here. 3 of the 5 goals were from set pieces, like from corners, and they were doing this weird thing in which they were doing these low corners to the near post, and like this, especially that second that sorry the second corner, which is like the third goal from Fisk. It was literally like it just hit her like thigh, in thigh area. It kind of went in, and I don't know if it was purposely done or whether it just hit her and kind of went in. But if it was purposely done, genius. And if it wasn't, I just think that it's a great like set piece strategy they're doing. I don't know, maybe they're practicing these low near post set pieces. Other teams should be prepared for that now. Um, but coming back to West Ham, they kind of had the possession after that first goal. They kind of had the possession for most of the game, and then what eventually happened was that because they had committed too many players forward, Liverpool was suddenly able to counter, and that's what happened. That's how the second goal went in. Like the second goal was against the run of play in the sense that West Ham had most of the ball after the first goal, and they still
Hmm.
managed to concede that second goal. And once they got the second goal, I think West Ham kind of like fell like their heads fell a little bit. And I think to some extent, the Tiziak red card was like cynical foul, but like she didn't go in both feet studs up, so it wasn't a tackle that it was a. I would say it was an orange. It wasn't a yellow. It wasn't a red.
Hmm.
But I personally think that it's ruined the game for it to be given red. I understand that nowadays, uh, uh, the standards are stricter, but I don't think it met the current standards either of a red card. And I just feel like,
Hmm.
in general, the refereeing in this game, and in general, the refereeing was bad just across the board. Like, and not
Hmm.
just the refereeing, like across the board, all four game. Four, I saw three of the four games. Like the linos also with the offside calls, etc. I just feel like there just needs to be better like refereeing in general. But
Yeah.
Liverpool thoroughly deserved it. After the red card, it was just all Liverpool. They just totally went at it. And West Ham, they kept coming out despite the fact that, every time they came out, Liverpool would score one more goal. And it
Hmm.
was really unfortunate because, like only two of these goals were from open play. So it's not like West Ham were doing something wrong in terms of coming out. It was just that Liverpool was so great at corners, and three of their corners went in. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I find Liverpool so weird this season because they're like 1 minute they're struggling to score goals, and I honestly thought this would be the most exciting fixture of the lot. And listen, to be fair, it was an interesting game. Like you said, it wasn't as one-sided as the scoreline is making it out to be. But at the same time, 5-0, like you do not like Liverpool have been struggling to score, and you do not expect Liverpool to sort of win 5-0 against another WSL side, right? So
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, they've got a few players on loan there. I mean, the transfer window closes in about, I don't know, about 7 to 8 hours as we're recording, and I think they have Liverpool are still on the lookout for a couple of people to come in on loan. But Ash, we have the same fixture coming up this weekend, but I think it is this was West Ham at home, right? That's going to be Liverpool versus West Ham, so they're going to be playing at the totally wicked stadium. Let's see how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, moving on to the Brighton versus Durham game. This ended 4-1. I suppose that should be expected as well. What did you think of this game?
Yeah, it is to be expected, right? Like if you want to put your money on a team conceding, it's probably Brighton. Um, uh, Listen, like I have my thoughts. It's very. I don't know if I'm being unfair to be critical of a team that's 1-4-1, but for me, the quality with which Brighton started the season is a cause for concern, and this game did not, like, for me as a neutral, um, who is kind of inclined to Brighton, right? I think the club is great. They're investing in their women's team. They did well in the summer to recruit some good talent. So from that perspective, honestly, I was a little disappointed with how little control Brighton had over this game. It's not like like Durham had a whole lot of chances. Like that's not it, but they always looked vulnerable on the break, which is something we see happen to Brighton a lot because they do suddenly look extremely disorganized.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, There was a fair bit of rotation from Dario Vidicic. Madison Haley and Nikita Paris were rested. Michelle Azimang started up top, and I thought she looked reasonably good. So it was a front three of Bremer, Azimang, and Bruna Villamala. And I actually thought Bruna Villamala looked good on the right hand side. She usually comes out of the left.
Yeah.
And I thought she played. I don't know if that's because she was playing Durham but generally she seemed a little more comfortable. Like her first touch was a bit better. She was taking players one on one with a lot more confidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, like generally the game was pretty one sided, and the game was done like in the first like 20 minutes or so. Like Brighton went 3-0 up in 21 minutes. So like that is at that point the game is beyond Durham, right? But like again, my issue is with the Brighton midfield and
Yeah.
the defense, right? Like that link between the defense and the midfield for me. Um, like yeah, it was so easy for Durham to break up play in the midfield. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And for that to happen, like for that to happen to you against a championship club, it's indicative of something that's wrong there. There's something that needs to be worked upon. I thought Ollie Slagers looked really good in this game. She looked very confident. She was linking up well with Bruna as well as Paulina Bremer. Bremer looked like quite bright, which I think is good for Brighton because she had that injury in the first half of the season, and then she's still not look come back to her best yet. But in this game, I thought she looked reasonably, like she looked confident going forward. And like I don't personally think of Bremer as somebody who can dribble, take players on 1v1. I don't think this game showed any differently, but at least I did feel like she had a fairly good game because most of Brighton's attack was kind of going through that left hand side as well. So I thought Bremer looked pretty good. Um, and yeah, I mean, the goal that they conceded, the one that Blake scored, yeah, Brighton just did not track back. They just not did not track the run of Blake. She had a free. It was basically like a free tap in that she had on the far post, and the cross came in. Um, but a 4-1 win for Brighton, who've not had a win this year in the WSL. It's been 2 weeks now. So for them, they're going to play Crystal Palace after this. So it's going to be a good confidence boost for them. But in my opinion, if Vidicic does not sort out the midfield, like if that midfield is like the midfield has to look alive. Like they have to do better. They have
I
to.
have a theory about this, with
Yeah.
attacking managers, like
Hmm.
these, not attacking managers, high possession attacking managers.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like, uh, like people like Dario Vidusek, even Rob William. One thing that I feel like they focus too much on is that they focus too much on what to do with the ball, right? So like it's always like passing drills, training to like progress the ball, all these things. I think
Hmm.
that there isn't enough training in these teams for what to do without the ball. And I
Yeah.
think that that's a really important. I think that's why people like Sonia Bompastor are so good, because they're constantly like keep the ball, keep the ball, keep the ball. But like I feel like they seem to like also focus on how do you like organize yourself without the ball. Like in the City
Yeah.
game we saw that, right? And I just feel like these managers, they need to like it's not like one is better than the other or something. Like this personal philosophy thing needs to stop. There are
Yeah.
times in the game when you have the ball, and there are times in the game when you don't have the ball, and you have to cope with
Exactly.
both. So
Yeah.
like I do think that like management needs to change on these type of things.
Hmm.
But eventually I suppose they'll learn. He hasn't had a proper preseason yet,
Hmm.
with all these players, considering they all came in the summer window.
In the summer.
So
Yeah.
like maybe once he gets a preseason in next summer with them, he'd probably do off the ball training as well. So
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I completely agree with you. I think Brighton out of possession is a serious problem, and
yeah.
like if you watch if you follow that team, it's something it's just way too obvious that like they look almost like puzzled when they don't have the ball.
Yeah.
uh, and sometimes they lose their head so much that when they do have the ball, once again they look puzzled. Like this happened against like games against Arsenal, for example. The moment they actually managed to get possession, they had no idea how to move forward,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
break past Arsenal's press. So, like you said, it's like Vidicic needs more time with this team. But I think this Palace game is a must win for Brighton. I feel like for every team, pretty much, a game against Palace at this point is a must win because they are at the bottom of the table. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Brighton respond to Palace breaking up play in the midfield, because they're going to do that.
Yeah, and
They're
I think
going to do quick
honestly, I think
counters.
Palace will draw or win. I think Palace can get points off this game.
You know what? I also feel that way because I'm actually really worried for Brighton in this game, because unless they actually manage to control the game, I don't think they're going to come away with all 3 points. I
Yeah,
am
yeah, yeah.
honestly very skeptical after having seen that Durham performance. But anyway, let's wrap it up, Ash. Let's move on to Everton versus Tottenham. I know heartbreaking scenes. You had made the finals last year, and now you're out in the round of 32. Goals from Kelly Gago, the new signing for Everton in the 48th minute, and second goal for Everton coming from Heather Payne in the 92nd minute. Ash, what did you think?
Okay, so obviously this game was not televised, and I don't understand why. Like, if you're putting it up on YouTube, every game can potentially be televised. And like, I don't even care. Like, you don't even have to put up the whole game. Just put up like main move. Use a phone camera and put up main moments. Like, pay one person to do that. I don't care. Like, one person following the lino on the sidelines and recording the game in, like,
Just
I
put a
don't know.
GoPro on Lino's head.
Yeah, like put a GoPro on Lino's head. Do anything. Like, I swear, like, it's possible. It's like, in this day and age of technology, it is possible for very cheap to just do like blurry game videos, at least at the minimum. I'm like, that's the bare minimum that you can ask for. But anyway, like, Twitter was nice enough. There were a bunch of accounts, including the Everton account, unlike the Spurs account, to give live updates of the game, of the main events of the game. And so I did see the goals. Kelly Gargo got her first goal for Everton. I've been saying all along that she looks good to me. But better than her goal was the pass that Holmesgard made for Gago to get the goal. She kind of like crossed across two Spurs players, like beautifully placing it in front of Gago. To be fair, Hunt got her foot on the ball, but like, it wasn't strong enough contact to get Gago off of it, and so Gago came out the winner of that encounter. Um, I will say that Spurs are definitely missing Sumanan. Like, without her, they look like a different team. Like, I think she's just like the spine of our midfield, and when she's not there, Spurs just look like they can't retain the ball, like they can't defend, like they can't distribute. Like, everything that is good about our midfield seems to come from Samanin, and like, there's nobody else. Like, I'm really annoyed with Rob, because he got in like Artonen and all to do that midfield job, and then he benched them, and I'm just like, if you're going to bench them anyway, why did you get them in the first place? We're not a team where you can get luxury transfers onto the bench, right? We're a team in which you have to buy first team players whenever you go into the transfer market. We don't have the strength to not do that. And these were his transfers, they were his players, they played with him before, and he's putting them on the bench. So I just do not understand. Like, the murmurings of discontent just seem to get louder and louder, because Spurs are now out of the League Cup, they're out of the FA Cup. Like, I would not be surprised. Like, we barely beat Palace. It was in the WSL. So I would not be surprised if we now continue this decline down the table. We've just been lucky so far, that we are still like hanging around in that mid-table place. But the form we're in, we are reliant on other teams dropping form now to get across the line.
I mean, to be fair, I know. See, I think like I get your criticism as like a Spurs fan, especially in terms of recruitment. Like I completely get it and I'm on board. But I mean, Spurs is still in sixth. They are on same points level on points with Brighton. So like that's going to be like a really interesting. Like now that Spurs don't have cup games to focus on, like you can actually focus on the WSL fixtures, in its entirety. But I also feel like uh, Spurs have had really bad luck with injury in the midfield, right? Like you have had Sumanan coming in and going. You have also like Oros was not fit for the longest time. So, because the squad is so thin, even like losing one or two players therefore has like a massive impact on the team. So with the injuries, uh, I mean, I get it. Even when players are fit, sometimes Spurs just have like a crazy day. Like we know that. But at the same
But
time,
it's not just the midfield now. Now everything seems to be underperforming. Like, look at the attack. Apart from Beth England, I can't think of a regular goal scorer. Martha Thomas certainly
hmm,
can't score goals right now. Nas Nas looks like she's completely a different player. Like she's just a glorified speed merchant. She's not doing
yeah,
anything when she's on the pitch. Sometimes I don't even notice she's on the pitch. You know, uh, uh, Even Rasso, as much as I appreciate that she takes on the players and all, there's no output, like there's no goals from
yeah,
that. There is just so many players in the Spurs attack that are not living up to their potential, and since we
hmm,
already lost two attacking players in Clinton and Bize, the point of buying Rasso, and I'm glad Olivia Holt has scored a goal now, but like the point of buying these players is to and I'm hoping Olivia Holt then manages to like get goals now. But i- the attack has been underperforming. And the
hmm,
defense was always bad. And I do think that Molly Bartrip, who is like the spine of our defense, has been looking like a slower, less like she's just been making the wrong decisions a lot. And I
hmm,
don't understand what's happening there. She's come back from injury, so it's possible that there's just some niggle there, or she hasn't been able to play herself back into form. I don't know what it is, but she's just looking like a different player.
right.
So I'm hoping that so all 3 points of the field are just like not working. The midfield is not working definitely, but the attack and the defense are also not working. And the days when
Hmm,
Beth doesn't play, it just looks even more stark because we're just being rescued by England match in match out. So
right.
it's just you don't realize how bad it is because England is like that Palace game. We just
Hmm,
kind of barely made it across the line.
yeah,
And that should not have been the case because player by player, we have so many better players than Palace does.
true. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think we'll keep an eye out for Spurs' performance in the WSL. I guess we'll see how that best of the rest plays out between Spurs and Brighton. Who knows? There might be like a third team in the mix. We'll have to wait and see. But a quick update on the FA Cup round of 16 fixtures that's going to happen on 8th and 9th of February. We have Villa playing Brighton, Wolves playing Manchester United, Rugby Borough Women versus Liverpool, Palace versus Newcastle, which I think will be a very tasty fixture. Newcastle are doing pretty well in the championship, so it's going to be interesting. Arsenal versus London City Lionesses, Manchester City versus Leicester, Portsmouth versus Sunderland, and Chelsea versus Everton.
I reckon
So,
Chelsea versus and Villa, like Villa versus Brighton, obviously will be the standout fixture.
yes.
Like that's super tasty. I reckon Villa have it in them to beat Brighton, but I do think that the Chelsea versus Everton is a hidden dark horse.
Sure. Okay. You never know. I mean, we did play them in the FA Cup, I think round of 16 last season as well, and
Yeah.
we barely made it across the line. Like Kat Macario had to come and score a goal in extra time or something like that. It was nil
Yeah.
nil, and then anyway, so anything could happen. And Everton definitely are a team that look dangerous.
Yeah, come on, Kelly
In transit.
Gargo.
Yeah, Kelly Gago, and also like they beat Manchester City already this season, so we know that they can be pretty dangerous. But that's brings us to the end of this episode. But like I mentioned earlier, we will have a transfer episode coming out, and we will be going live on Sunday for the Manchester City versus Arsenal match. Uh, a reminder to all of you to subscribe to our channel, like our video, and leave us some comments if you caught some of the games midweek, and also some of the exciting games that are coming up in the FA Cup. If you have thoughts and comments on that, do share that with us. But yeah, we'll catch you soon with our next transfer video. Until then, bye bye.